Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 31 of Coffee Time with Byron and Dave. Byron and Brett. I'm your host, Byron. Sorry, got a little lost there. That's not my co-host no more. But on this edition, we have on former Major Leaguer, Wes Chamberlain. How are you tonight?
I'm just chilling, man. Just chilling.
Hey, same here. I hope you and the family are staying well now that we're kinda, I want to say, mostly out of this COVID phase.
Well, I mean, who knows, man? They haven't came up with a cure, so we can go back and forth all day. We can agree to disagree. So, I mean, hey, what the heck, you know?
I think we kind of are, which is, I mean, everything feels like it's getting back to normal. I mean, we got stadiums at pretty much full capacity now. I mean, it just depends on the state, I guess, right? I'm in Florida, so we're a Republican state, so we're pretty much fully open. I don't know if you guys, where are you located at?
I'm in Illinois. I'm in Chicago, so we won't open fully to June 11th. So a lot of Republican states are pretty much open. So we're Democratic states. So with that, what I'm saying is that, hey, we don't have a clear-cut vaccination. So therefore, that's where I stand. Now, just because we're opening just because governments and everybody else is opening.
Right.
And then people are still catching COVID. So it is what it is. And so, like I say, we agree to disagree with it and all that. But until you give me a vaccination, until you give me something that's curable, then I agree with you. But right now, it still stands with what I'm standing with. I'm just standing on common ground. And I'm just voicing my opinion, just as anybody else who if they would side with you, if they agree or disagree. So I'm standing on that until, the CDC or whoever provides the vaccination, the cure, then, I mean, that's where I'm sitting at.
And I do believe, as a former player, you kind of know what the players of today are going through, except in your day, you guys never went through this. You guys at least had fans, but they didn't go through fans last year. So how hard do you think it was for these players to play with sound quality from not fan related? If you catch my drift, how do you think these players coped with that?
You know what? I really don't know, because I did not attend a game and I did not watch any games. So I don't know. All I can go with is an assumption of like being at a spring training game and you're rained out continuously and you just left over with a few drunk fans there. and you hear everything. So with that being said, if you're gonna let 2,000 people in, it's kind of like a rain out and the people went home and a few people stayed back, and now everything's an echo. Every word is stated clear. You know, it's like talking through a megaphone. So, I mean, I can only put it on that type of scale, you know. But I didn't go to any games, didn't go to any stadiums, and I didn't watch it. I took a glimpse and see how they were setting it up, and somewhat, and I was like, okay. So it's kind of like I gave an initial look to see how they was doing it, and didn't follow through with it.
So let's get started with of course your career first. I want to get started with that. You were a 4th round pick in '87. You made your MLB debut in August against with the Phillies in 1990. Tell us about that, and where were you when you first got the call up?
When I got the call up, I was in Toledo, Ohio. I was in Buffalo with the Pittsburgh Pirates, AAA, and so I ride to the stadium to get ready for the game, and I was told not to get dressed by my manager, Terry Collins, and so after that, we were waiting on the phone call from Pittsburgh, and then once the phone call came through, I found out that I'd just been tripped. I'd been put on waivers, and then I've been claimed by 11 teams. And so with that, I knew that I was no longer a Pittsburgh Pirate. It was just a matter of fact of who was going to win the right to claim me.
Now, did you know beforehand that you were being? Did they tell you beforehand right away, like ownership, or did just your manager tell you straight up that you were being called up?
No, we didn't know. No, he got the call at the stadium likewise, but he had made it to the stadium before us.
Okay, gotcha. So tell us, what was that atmosphere like when you made your major league debut? Did you have goosebumps in your stomach? Were you excited you were there? Take us through that.
Well, it was kind of a awkward moment because of the simple fact is I was in limbo for a couple of days because I didn't know who had claimed me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, it was 11 teams claimed me. So my situation was what's next? And so after the second day, they finally, the first day, later on that day, they finally said that the Phillies had claimed me. They was the worst team with the worst record on that day.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was that. And so when that fell through, then I had to still wait because now they made a trade out of it. And so that was another date. So once that went through, I had to find out, we had to wait to see what was happening with the transition on the trade and everything. So that took another day. So it was like a 2.5, 3 day process. So when they finally made everything final, then I knew I was going. The Phillies was on the road at the time also. So actually I flew when they finally made the deal. I had to go back to Buffalo, New York and gather a few personal things because we were on the road. We were in Toledo.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went back to Toledo, grabbed a few things, and just to grab a few personal things because I knew I was going to Philly, but didn't know how things was. I knew I'd just be going to the hotel. Got the flight, got the hotel, and so I was just still like in like just unsettled. So it was like, okay, I'm traded. Okay, I'm going to the big leagues. Okay, now what? So now blah, 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 this and that. And it's like, now I meet the team and I get to the stadium and I'm like, I don't know where to go. It's like, I'm just the new guy.
Now your first full year, the following year, after you got traded from Pittsburgh to Philly and you made your debut, you had your most productive season out of your career where you posted career highs in home runs and RBIs, runs, hits, stolen bases, and games played. What do you remember about that season?
What's that, the minor leagues or the major league?
The majors.
You talking about my full rookie year?
Yes.
Okay. This was my most productive year?
Yes. This was your most productive year.
No, I wouldn't agree with that. That's what I had the year we went to the World Series was my most productive year. Even though I played part-time, but I've had more games and more bats the year we went to the World Series because I got hurt in '92. I broke my ankle, so I finished the season on the disabled list. '91 was my rookie year. So I finished fourth in the rookie of the year ballot, and then because I made the team out of spring training, and then I got demoted because Nick Labor got fired. So when Jim Fregosi became the manager, he sent me and Dave Hollins down, and then I came back up I believe right around All-Star break.
Now, when you appeared in the '93 World Series that you guys eventually lost in 6 games to the Blue Jays, did you know right away going into that year that you guys would be in the World Series?
No. How can we know, man?
The talent-wise, you guys had talent.
That year we were picked to be last.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Let me ask you this: how old are you?
I am going to be 30.
Okay, so yeah, that was 30 years ago. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I say that in a good way, because you really have to go through the archives to see where they placed. I'm talking about where they had us in the standings, and that year they had us picked to be last in the standings. The year we went to the World Series, because we were last place, so we went from last place to first place.
That's kind of brutal, though. You guys had tons of talent. You had Kruk, Mitch Williams, you had quite a bit. I remember some names from that team. I mean, you had quite a bit of talent. It's weird that they picked you guys as last. I wonder why.
Well, we had a lot of injuries the year before. I mean, so I mean that's Byron. That's the way it goes. People make predictions, and I mean, we took that personally. We felt like MJ.
There you go.
We took that personally. Yeah, we did. I mean, as a group collectible, because we had that's when Milt, Izzy, Inky, they were the veteran outfielders that we picked up, and the team like blended. All the pitchers. I'm talking about the guys from the bullpens. Everybody was kind of like picked up as free agents. So, and I never forget, we had a brawl with the Cardinals in spring training. And they hit me. Yeah, they did. I got hit with a pitch. They threw it one of us, and then they hit me, and we just went at it. And from that day forth, the tone was set. We had a brawl. They hit me, and I got up and we went out. I went to them out, we charged and everything. And that day, the tone was set. It was just like, nah, it ain't gonna happen.
Were you guys at the time? I know they aligned the divisions once the expansion was in '93. Was the Cardinals in your division, or how was the divisions?
Yes, Cardinals in our division. Yes.
Okay, so it was definitely not the divisions that they have now.
It was the old one. It wasn't not like how it is today. It was 93 was the last year, and then 94. You had to win flat out. So it was the East and West, and you had to win. It was no wild card.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn.
That's why they had us to pick last. They had the Braves, and they had, I believe at that time, the Cardinals. They had the Cardinals to win the division. And they had us last place because we finished last the year before.
So when you got to the World Series that year, how did it feel to you guys to prove the naysayers and beat the teams that they said was going to be ahead of you guys? How did that feel? That
felt okay, but to frankly speak, mission wasn't accomplished because we had to prove to everyone. I mean, even though we beat the Braves, they thought it was a fluke. And so Toronto, they were defending world champions. They had beat the Braves the year before, and so they were the last team to win back-to-back World Series. So they obviously, we were still the underdog. They didn't have us to win, and we went in there and we won Game 1, and we had Game 2 at home. We blew it, and from that we had to battle back, and then we battled back, and then Game 6 we were winning, and then Joe hit the home run.
Yep. I was just about to ask you that. What was going through your head when he hit that home run?
Nothing. I was just numb. I was looking just like how you, like, did that just really happen?
That was brutal.
When you got over 60,000 people in a dome cheering, you just like, what I'm gonna do now? What I'm gonna do tomorrow?
Did you know as soon as it hit his bat that it was gone? Did you know?
No. Inky chased the ball all. It was line drive, no line drive, and Inky chased it all the way to the wall, and it barely went over the wall. It was a line drive, and it went down the left field line. He ran all the way to the corner. So it was like how the wall behind you. That little door behind you, that's how Inky ran into the left field corner. and it was over the wall. We was like, that's it. Like, he didn't even know. I mean, he was running. He took off. He had a line drive, and it stayed low, and it just kept going. You know, I mean, it just kept going, and it stayed up. It was kind of like McGuire's 60 home run. When he hit the home run, the 61st home run down the line, that was just like how Joe Carter home run was, right down the line, just barely over the wall.
So, who would you say? I know you faced many pitchers in your day. Who were the pitchers? This is a two-part question. First part is, who were the pitchers that you dominated, that you hit off the most? And the second part is, what pitchers and who were they that gave you the most fits?
Well, that's none of them, really. None of them. Because you didn't face a lot of guys all the time. You never faced the same pitchers. You know, you had the number one, the number two, the number 3, 4, and 5. And depending on the circumstances, you probably never faced the number 1 or the number 2 all the time. I mean, you know, due to injuries and 162 games. So there's no one. No one. Now, as a fan, baseball player always get those questions. And you answer to the best of your ability. My ability is that every guy was tough. Mm-hmm. Because the pitcher
Oh, we lost the volume there for a second.
Yeah,
there we go. Perfect.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
You're good.
You don't face them and you don't see them. So they're all tough, man. Even if you see Maddox twice, he's tough the first time, he's tough the second time. Even if you see Glavine, that's the whole thing. That's the whole thing to where is that that's baseball. Everybody's tough, man. Everybody who straps on a uniform, just because a guy throws 90 miles an hour or 99, a guy can throw 70. That's why them guys, Tommy John and Lee Brandt, all them guys was able to pitch 15, 20 years. Them guys out there, they have a job, and those are kind of the toughest guys, I believe, because they change speeds, and they don't throw hard, So every guy, I think the guys who threw hard was the easiest guys, and the guys who changed speeds was the toughest, in my opinion, because they moved the ball around. And see, today in the game, that's not being philosophized. It's not saying they're like, oh, you got to throw the ball hard. Oh, he needs velo. That's not Major League pitching. Major League pitching is a guy who can pitch in and out of the strike zone and make certain pitches when he has to. That means that if he needs a ground ball, he's not going to give in to the batter. He's going to work that pitch. He's going to work that strike zone to his best ability and pitch to his strengths.
That is right. Through a mindset of a hitter, that's awesome that you say that, because you obviously you weren't a pitcher, you were a hitter, so you could know. Why? But looking at what they were throwing, how fast, different pitches. That's a different, unique point of view that I've heard from a hitter's point of view. I've had some hitters on here that they just don't know because of what they haven't pitched. So that's a unique point of view that I've had on this show, and thank you for that. So my next question now is, you played back in the day with the AstroTurfs. How, as a player, did that feel differently than playing on regular grass?
Well, AstroTurf is not natural grass. Natural grass, the ball does a lot of things, and you get a lot of footage. The reason why AstroTurf, it was there because of the rain, so that you could have less rain down. But if it wasn't good AstroTurf, when I say good, if it wasn't taken care of, it was just bad. It was just like playing on concrete. It was like playing on the same thing that you put in your backyard for the weatherproofing. But it was AstroTurf, and it was the worst. Now you're playing at the vet was terrible, because that was just the worst AstroTurf, because you go from football, then you go from baseball, then you go to all these events, then you go to the West Coast where all this grass is, and now you're playing on nice sod. It's no rain. It's dry. It's well groomed. It's well kept. So those guys have an advantage to their field as far as like definitely defense, and then definitely being on the West Coast of the grass being taken care of. Now when you come to the Midwest, you got or down south, Chicago and then Atlanta, those cities where it rains and everything, they got to keep the grass high due to the moisture of the weather. So the ball is going to come in there on the defensive side. Balls are not going to get through. Balls are going to be slowed down. But you got to also play to the batter's strength. Like if he's a power hitter, if he's a contact hitter, and things of that nature. All this comes into play on the defensive side based on the pitcher and then based on the hitter. Because if this guy's a contact hitter, majority of the time he's going to use right field. He's not going to pull the ball as much. But a guy's a power hitter, we call them spray hitters. They use the ball over the whole field, you know.
Yeah.
So those guys, you had to play those guys kind of straight up. Those were tough to defend because you had to really play the gap to take away the doubles. So with most power hitters coming up, they're majority at the latter end of their career, so they become a little bit more predominantly power hitters, which is like what the shift is for. So those guys, you had to give them respect, like no doubles. So, you know, all of these things you had to take in fact. We had hitting charts that we had to sit down and go over before the game with the pitcher who was pitching. And then we also had to understand that when with that being said is that when our relievers come in, so playing on AstroTurf was better for the batter because the ball was skeet and slide and get through, and it would just roll all the way to the wall. Playing on grass was good for your body. You know, you dive, you land on cushion plush things. If you dove on that AstroTurf, you came up with strawberries, you might have came up with a dislocated knee, a dislocated shoulder. That's the reason why they really got rid of all the AstroTurf, including even in football.
Which personally did you like playing on as a player, the grass or AstroTurf?
Grass.
I sort of figured. I would say the same thing. I couldn't imagine playing on AstroTurf, but unfortunately, you had to with stadiums like that. But you know, so yeah, I feel you on that one. So the following year, after you made the World Series with the Phillies, you were traded in mid-season in '94 to Boston for Paul Control and Billy Hatcher. What do you remember about that trade, and where were you when you were told you were getting traded?
We was in Chicago, my hometown, and I got traded that night. I had to get a pinch hit back. I didn't play, so they had to get me in the game. I had a pinch hit back. I struck out against Randy Myers and went back to the dugout. And then the trade was completed. And then the next day, I flew out of Chicago right into Boston. That was on Memorial Day last year. I mean, that year. It was on Memorial Day that year.
Wow.
Yeah, well, someone tweeted it. Someone tweeted it on Memorial Day. Yeah, I got traded on Memorial Day.
What do you remember? What do you remember most about playing for Boston in your time?
I went through a strike, and then I went through another manager firing. Butch Hobson was my manager. We went through the strike at the end of the year. That was the last baseball strike. That year we didn't have a World Series, and ever since then we came back. The game has changed and totally evolved because that was the first time that there had been no World Series. And that was the first strike. So that was '94. That was a year without the World Series. And that was the last of the standings of how the old standings were. You know, it was always to be only the top two teams in the East and the West. They would play, and the winner would go to the World Series. So after that, they implemented the interleagues, the wild cards. They kept, evolving. And so with that, the game has become affluent. And then a lot of the teams that only will play in the World Series or the playoff, the interleague has generated billions of dollars. It had been good all the way up until they started doing the lunch angle.
Yeah, I don't like the launch angle, but that's what today's game has gone to.
Yeah.
I was watching before we got on the Yankees and the Red Sox rivalry. Now, you were a part of that rivalry when you were with Boston.
Yes.
Take us through that rivalry, and what do you remember most about that rivalry between the Yankees? Was it bitter? How'd that rivalry go?
Well, it was. I think. I believe. I mean, it was rival because of I guess Babe Ruth, the trade with Babe Ruth, and I think that the brass pretty much kept it going, and then fighting for the pennants right before with the playoffs because the Yankees dominated the division.
Mm-hmm.
So then it keep going with Bucky Dent. So it's always been that it was kind of like how the Cubs with the GOAT. Something always happens. Something the curse.
Yeah.
The curse. So with that being said, it's always the brass would always emphasize that they would make it like the playoff, and people came. The stadium sold out. I mean, every time we went to the old Yankee Stadium, it was sold out that weekend or that series, and every time the Yankees came to Boston, it was sold out. So the fans, the tradition of it made it a consistency rival until the Red Sox finally won the World Series. I think that was 04.
Yep, 04. Against the Cardinals. They swept them.
Against the Cardinals, yeah. So they finally broke through, and then they came back and they finally, it's just that to say that, hey, okay, we're no longer second fiddle to you, because the Yankees got 30 World Series, 27,
27, yeah.
World.
27.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the dominance. I mean, because they with the tradition, I mean, that's how some organizations are. Some organizations, they go out and they get the players that they feel that they need that's going to get them opportunity to win, and the other ones just try to work it through the minor league system. And the Red Sox finally started going out and getting people themselves and keeping that continuity together, and they finally was able to hold on after getting a few free agents, and they was able to overtake them.
Now, did you ever engage you and your teammates involved in the rivalry, like fighting-wise, like when they had that brawl in 04?
We had a bench clearing brawl. We had when I was there with me, Mo, Jose, Roger Clemens, and Mike Greenwell. The first one was there with Otis Nixon, Andre Dawson, 94 when I got traded. Because when I came back, Butch Hobson, he got fired, and then they hired Kevin Kennedy, and then Kevin Kennedy did a lot of house cleaning. So we had a couple of incidents. Jose Canseco came in, because he came from Texas, and then he brought in Mark Whitten, he brought in Troy O'Leary, he traded Scott Cooper. So the guys who I got traded in there, we had I remember one incident in New York, or I believe it was in Boston. And then the next time when we got Jose, I think it was a bench clearing and with Jose, because I think they had a feud or something with Jose, so that just kind of turned it up. But so it was like two separate incidents with two different groups, because that 94 year was a strike.
Yeah.
So that happened when I got over there. So that happened in Boston, and I believe something happened in the first part of right at the opening day, because Boston and New York always open it up like about the second week at that time. So when I got there, they'd already had a little incident. But then when we came back off the strike after we had the trade, I believe something happened when Jose played them, and they just kept it going. And it was just people just added to it.
Now, when you were with the Red Sox, what years did you think you guys could have won the World Series or just made the playoffs?
Well, I was only there 2 years, so I got the strike. I didn't have the really opportunity, because when I I got designated for assignment right before All-Star break. So that team did make it to the playoffs, but they lost.
Oh, okay.
So those are my only two. That was a year. I was with them 94 and 95. So just a year and a half, I got designated, and nobody picked me up as I went down to AAA, played. Then right before the playoff roster was set, I got traded for Chris James. They traded me instead of them calling me back up, because they was calling some guys back up, and they traded Chris James for me, and I went to Kansas City, and Chris James took my spot on the playoff roster.
Now, was there any, would you say, because I believe when you were, was this before the debut of Jeter, when you were with the Red Sox, or when or was this after you got released from the Red Sox?
I think I got traded.
Yeah, traded. Yeah.
Jeter was 96.
Okay, so you
They called up A-Rod at the end of that year, 95, like right before the strike, 94. Yeah, they called up A-Rod. I remember they calling him up right before the strike, because Seattle came to town and they bought up A-Rod 94. Then the next year, A-Rod was up. Then Jeter was 96.
Now, you obviously, like you said, you went through the strike. Do you feel like the MLB will ever have another strike, like what you went through?
No, not at this time, because they're making awesome money, so they don't really need to. I mean, that was the strike. The strike came down to the collective bargaining agreement with the union and everything, and what they were trying to do. And we won. The players, we won. We stood our grounds, and with that, a lot of us lost our jobs. But we got taken care of in the end, and that was the whole thing. You sacrifice in your career for that's what the unions are for. You're gonna fight, and later on you get taken care of, and it did. It worked out, and I was grateful to be a part of that, because those veteran guys, Andre Dawson and all them guys before us, was the ones who paved the way. And without a union, the owners could just do whatever they want to do. It's kind of like what government's doing with us today in life. The politicians, they say blaming it on this, blaming it on that, whether you're Republican or not. I mean, if you look at what's happening, you can't say that January 6th did not happen. And that's just like these guys is not holding people accountable for their actions. And so with that, it's just the same similarities, in my opinion. And I'm speaking only from my opinion. I'm voicing my own opinion. And with that being said, I mean, hey, the ones who put the power to be made, if you don't stand up to them as a people, then communism and New World Order will be in full effect. Yeah,
that's true. And now I gotta ask you, if you think you would have stayed, because I saw you after you left the MLB, you went to the Japanese League, and you were floating around in independent ball. Do you think if you would have stayed in MLB, or if a team would have picked you up, do you think you would have eventually won your ultimate goal at the time when you were in the majors, a World Series ring?
Well, I mean, I would have hoped to. I mean, that was the whole goal, to hope to get back. But the whole thing, Byron, is business. Once you learn the business and understand about the professionalism in Major League sports, you're just trying to keep a job. I mean, the dream is accomplished. As a kid, you understand that, 1 in a million can make it. Only 1 in a few can get there. Only 1 in a few. Mm-hmm. And I would have a lot of guys saying that, it's easy to get there. The hard part is staying. And I used to be like, okay. So once you start learning what the professionalism is about, once you start learning what the strikes, I was caught up in like 4 baseball strikes in my short time being in the major leagues. I got caught in every strike that was at that time. I was in all them strikes. So I learned a lot of the professional side while trying to earn a major league career, while trying to establish at a major league level. So I had to make a decision, either side as a player or side as a professional. And with that, I mean, yeah, you won. I mean, I made it to the World Series in my third year in the major leagues. That's awesome. And I never forget what Andre Dawson told me. He played 22 years and never even got to the World Series.
Right.
So, yeah, you would like that, and that's what you're playing to do to win the World Series. But you're really not in control of it. All you know, it's like a lottery. You know, you take advantage while you're healthy. You hope you make it through the season. You hope that we can put something together and, hey, you know, do what we have to do at that time, which is win. And that's exactly what we did in '93.
Now, you, like I said, you played in Japan. How is the game different over there compared to here? Is it slower, faster? Is there different parts to the game than here? How is it like over there compared to here?
Well, they're in total control of their game. I mean, starting from the top, just completely. Our game is open and free. The umpires, each umpire has a strike zone, but over there, it's played by, from my experience, it's played by seniority. Mm-hmm. Like, you got to pitch to Ichiro, you got to pitch to the veterans, you know, the people. The game is for the fans, so you have to show respect, which is in their culture, and that's what I'm saying, that's the culture, that's what communism is about, you know. And once you see that, and you're like, oh, okay, it's not as free as we are as Americans. I mean, we have the Constitution, man. We have rights, you know. When you go to other countries and you participate, you're a foreigner. Mm-hmm. So you have to adapt to their lifestyle, their citizen. You know, you ain't trying to be a citizen, but you have to conform to their government ways. So, you know, we're there to work, we're there to entertain. And so, do I agree with their style? No, I don't agree with it, but it's a business. And hey, it's an earned living. So at that time, I took it for what it was. Like I said, it's entertainment, and you respect their culture, and you respect everything that what they're about, and you just learn and see what it is, and just show respect.
Now, did you play against Ichiro while you were over there?
Oh yeah, yes. I played against Ichiro that year. The next year, the Mariners picked him up. Yeah, I met him, got autographs, we took pictures. Ichiro was like Madonna. Everywhere Ichiro went, he was on TV. Yeah. Ichiro was Madonna. Ichiro was Michael Jackson, Madonna, Elvis, any rock star, any Ichiro.
Now, do you think, like I do, that he should be in the Baseball Hall of Fame because of what he did both there and here in America? Because right now, a lot of people are saying what he did in America does not fit the Baseball Hall of Fame here.
And I agree with that. It's based on what he did in America. It's not based on what he did in Japan. We're not tallied on what we accomplished over there. We go over there and we play, and they're not carrying our statistics back here in America. If we go back, no, that's two different. And the game's played totally different over there. The fields are a little smaller. The dirt fields are larger. The stadium fields are smaller, but the walls are tall. They're pretty much like, instead of 40 feet high, they're about 30 feet high in the dome and things of that nature. So when you go over there and you play, you see the elements and how they're demographic in their way. So no way. What he done over here, he had a great career. You know, he's a good player. He was not a power hitter. He was behind Ricky Henderson, because Ricky Henderson had power.
Yeah.
But he was a great leadoff man. I mean, he got a lot of hits. You know, he's got hits like Willie McGee, Wade Boggs, things of that nature. He's a great player, but Willie McGee got more hits than the guys that are in the Hall of Fame. But what makes those guys Hall of Fame? You know, the writers vote them in. So, no.
Do you think he'll ultimately get in? Your opinion?
Who, Ichiro?
Yeah.
It's hard for me to say. I don't think he get in. I mean, I don't know. What do you got to have? 75, 70? What is the percentage? And what did he?
75%.
What is his percentage?
I think he first year I think was 45%. I think.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It varies from year to year. Because honestly,
Right.
I don't think the steroid guys are ever getting in.
No, I don't believe so. No, I don't believe if you were affiliated. I mean, A-Rod, that's going to be a tough decision because steroids don't hit baseballs, and 600 home runs. It's over a million guys who played and haven't even got 200 career home runs.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can't take that away. That didn't have steroids. I mean, Mark McGwire, he's a hitter, and Sammy and them guys hitters. That's strictly on the writers. And then, writers are human, and so hey, they have a vote, and so I mean, hey, that's what it's based on. I felt that it should have been put in the hands of players. We should have had a players committee, and people have talked about it and tried to implement for former players to have a vote to see how that would come up instead of the writers. But I don't know, maybe it fell through. But a lot of people were implementing it, and I've received a lot of emails for that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the players should. I don't think the writers should, because there's a lot of players that aren't in that should be in right now. A lot. I'm not saying the steroid guys. I'm not saying those guys. I'm just saying a lot of good players, they aren't in right now, and it's because these writers aren't voting for them. I mean,
and the writers haven't played. They don't know the magnitude of being a player. They don't know the magnitude of playing with broken bones and torn ligaments. They don't know the magnitude of, of the grind. The hundreds. I mean, it's not that you don't want to play. It's just, can you play?
Right. And it's basically gone down to politics, because that's why Curt Schilling's not going to ever be in the Hall of Fame, and he was a damn good pitcher.
Yeah. I mean, but he wears it and say he don't worry about it. So I mean, if he confesses he don't worry about it, so I'm not worried about it.
Oh, I know. I'm just saying. I know he's not worried about it, but I'm just saying that's why they're keeping him out, is because of his political views. Like, that should not keep a player out just because of their political views. It's a free country. You're allowed to have your own political views. And that hurts you from getting into the Hall of Fame? Really? I mean, come on. How sensitive and BS is that? That's bullshit. Really, it is.
Hey, I hear you, man. And like I say, I'm not a writer. I don't have a vote. So that's what you made this podcast for, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I guess the same can be said too. Like you said, maybe you and me agree on this with Pete Rose, that he should be in, even though he bet on baseball. He should be in, right?
Yeah, I think that they probably would place him in after he's passed. That's my personal opinion. I don't think that while he's yet living, I don't believe. No, he's banned while he's yet living.
Oh, yeah.
I believe because they place some people in the Hall of Fame in their passing.
I agree. I agree. I think that's what's going to take is when he dies, and then the next year after he dies, he'll be in. I agree with you on that, because right now, with him being alive, with that ban, hell no. So I gotta ask you, your total MLB stats, your batting average was 255, your home runs for your career was 43, your runs batted in was 167. Looking back at your career, do you think you had a successful career?
Yes. For the games I played, and definitely for the games I played, and for the time I put in, yes. Why wouldn't it be?
I agree. Just had to ask. So now I want to get to the where you played fan base wise. Who did you enjoy playing? What fan base did you enjoy playing around? What fan base gave you the most hassle as a player?
Philly.
Really?
Boston. Yeah, dude.
Really?
Home fields.
And you played for them. You played for them.
That's right. That's right. They could be the worst, dude. Who boos Santa Claus? Who boos the Boston Tea Party? Dude, I mean, look. You ask me, I'm telling you. I mean, they could be the worst. They could be the best.
No, I agree. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
They love you. When they feel you're bad, you suck. You stink. You're the worst.
Was that how it was when you went to New York? Did they boo you too when you play?
In all honesty, you expected to get booed when you're a visitor. I mean, you're on the road. You expect that. You know, you really don't care. But who boos their home team? Who boos your home, man? I mean, they booed Mike Schmidt. He's the MVP, dude. He wore a wig on. Dude, he's Gold Glove, man. Hall of Famer, man. Come on, man.
What was playing with him like? Mike Schmidt?
I never played with Mike Schmidt. He was before me.
Oh, it was before you. Okay, I thought he was on that.
But what I'm saying is that he was still around. He would come to the games, come to the stadium. We sit and talk, and he would give his perspectives, give his wisdom, share his wisdom with us, things of that nature. This is a tough town, but hey, you got to learn how to grind it out. They love you, they hate you. They love you. There's a love and hate relationship. It's somewhat like a family thing. Like, I don't know. You have siblings?
No.
Oh, okay. You're the only child.
Yep.
All right. So yeah, it's like that. It's a family thing. When you have sisters and brothers, the oldest ones want to be the mom and the dad, and this and that, tell you what to do. You're like, you're not my mom. You're not my dad. I listen to you, but you're not going to do this. You're not going to do that. So, but it's more on the professional side because, they look at you, they size you up, they hit a height. Kind of like the movie Major Leagues.
Those were some classic movies. I love those movies.
That's awesome, dude. Major League, dude. That is my best baseball movie.
Yeah.
Because it hits every part of life, man. And it
does.
And then look what happened to the Cleveland. They turned around and became for real, dude.
Yep.
Went to the World Series and lost. You know what I mean? That's awesome, man. Storybook stuff you can't make up becomes
Wild Thing.
There you have it. And now I got Wild Thing on my team. And it's just crazy, man. It's crazy.
So tell me your stories off and on the field. Give me your 3 best stories that you had off and on the field.
It can't happen. That's a lifetime. It can't happen. There's no 3 best stories. I can tell you this. Playing in the World Series was the pinnacle of my career. Being in the World Series. I never dreamed about playing in the World Series. I just dreamed about being a major leaguer. Mm-hmm. That was just being in the World Series. I didn't ever say like, I'm gonna be like Reggie Jackson, want to hit 3 home runs, and I want to be Mr. October. Nothing like, no. Coming where I come from, just to make it to the major leagues was a blessing, and you can say a miracle. So I can give you that right there, making it to the major leagues. First being signed, I got drafted out of high school, and I didn't. I turned it down and went to college. Then I got drafted again, so I signed a contract. So that's the stepping stone. That's 1. Then making it to the major leagues is 2. Playing in the World Series is 3. So there you have it.
Did they have the Rule 5 draft back then?
Yes. I didn't get Rule 5. I got, that's when they changed the rules. See, that's how I got to the major leagues, because what they would do prior to the strike before that, they would put a guy on waivers, see how many teams claim him, then they would pull him back. So that's the Rule 5. It wasn't a Rule 5. It was they call it the Larry Dowdy blunder.
So they changed it.
Yeah, they changed it, and he forgot that that rule was no longer allowed. That's why they put me on waivers to see how many teams was claiming me. So that's one rule that's named after me. I have a couple of rules that's named after me, the Wes Chamberlain rules. But you have to go into the bylaws in the rules, in the MLB rules, and my name's there.
Now, in your time, there was the Montreal Expos. Do you see Montreal fan base ever getting another team?
Not so, no.
No?
No.
Fair enough. I can kind of see it, but I can kind of not, because it ended so bad the last year that they were, I think it was 2004 before they made the transition to Washington. It was horrible. The fans did not even come out, so I kind of agree with you.
Fan. That's what I'm saying. That's what that's what other countries, that's when you start traveling and you start observing life in other countries, and you start learning that your citizenship and why people want to be Americans. Then life clicks, life changes, life happens. Mm-hmm. So you're in other countries like that. I mean, Larry Walker, we all know that in order to become a citizen, you have to marry a U.S. citizen. That's what people do. Yeah, we know that. That's just keeping it real. So they want to be citizens. They want to get out of their country. They want to have liberty. They want to have the freedom. And with that being said, other countries, they lean to what the communism guides you to. Look at Japan. They guide you to the Olympics. All of the other sports, the jiu-jitsu, karate, the gymnastics, the same as Russia. They guide you to hockey and all of the other sports that I'm not, I'm not too much with Russia, but I do know it's aimed at Olympics. And then Canada, they got hockey, things of that nature. The sport that they dominate in the Olympics, that's what the country is geared to.
Do you see any more expansion teams coming in baseball?
At this moment, not now, because everything is pretty much running smooth. Baseball is $1 billion industry, man, a multi-billion-dollar industry. So the only thing you can do now is get the game back to where it used to play.
Okay, what about moving? Do you see Oakland moving?
I can see there's a possibility. They've been trying to move it. Yeah, I can see that that's a possibility. I don't know where though, but yeah. I think they would probably keep them out west because they want to keep the alignment together.
What about Las Vegas?
If they move to Vegas?
Yeah. I was thinking. Yeah, I was about to bring that up. What about Vegas? Because they were talking about that.
Yeah, and with that, they have to build a brand new stadium because Vegas is hot. So they might want to probably make a dome stadium, but a retractable where they had a grass also.
I heard if they did that, I heard somebody say that it could be a possibility of them playing at the Raiders' new stadium. Look at that stadium, dude. That is state of the art. Yeah.
Them in the Chargers. Oh man, that's better than this. That's better than Disneyland and Disney World put together.
Yeah. So we got a few minutes left with you. I'm going to ask a couple more questions. The first one is I ask this to everybody. So just give me your best answer that you can possible. I know it's early. Who do you think is going to be in the World Series this year, and who you got winning it?
I have no freaking clue. No, I can say the Cubs and the White Sox.
Hey, there you go. They're both doing good this year.
That's right.
I think they're both first.
And the Chicago White Sox.
Yeah, I think they're both first in a division, so I can see that. Perfect. You want my prediction?
Go ahead. It's your show.
I'm going to say Padres and Rays.
Okay, there you go. Padres and the Rays. There you go.
Could happen.
Look, that's why the games have to be played.
Exactly.
It can happen.
Exactly.
It can happen.
And my final question to you is, you obviously I think you played what, outfield? You said.
I played outfield and first base. I played outfield in the major leagues, and I played as I moved around more.
Okay, so tell the audience how they can, or for the younger viewers out there, what can they learn from playing the field? How much work do they have to put into playing the field?
Well, first of all, in order to play, you have to enjoy the game. If you get out there and if you start playing baseball or any sport, you have to find some fun in it. And if you find fun in it, then all those things will come along. Because if you get out there, if you're a skateboarder, you're riding a skateboard, if you find some fun, then you're gonna start trying tricks.
Mm-hmm.
If you play golf, you start hitting the golf balls and you start making some shots, then you're gonna find some fun. Any sport, tennis. I take all these sports. I played baseball, football, and basketball because that's what my brothers was around, and they babysit me, so they took me along. Then I started playing hockey on roller skates. Then I started playing tennis at the tennis court. At the tennis court, just by being out. Then I started putting, playing golf. So all these things that I do in life, they was a part of me being implemented in me because I was around them socially. So socially, if you like baseball and if you want to play baseball, you first have to have fun in it. Second, the more you play, you look to get better by having fun. That means you learn how to catch, you learn how to throw, you learn how to hit. And then as you progress, you'll see how what's important. First thing somebody say, well, you got to be able to hit. Yeah, you got to be able to hit because everybody can't hit. So if you can hit, then you got to be able to field because now you got to be able to field that ball. Now you got to be able to throw. See, that's what baseball is. You got to know how to throw, know how to hit, you got to know how to catch, and then you got to know how to throw the ball to get the outs.
And added last question. So then, which one was the hardest for you to do?
Well, all of them was hard because just when you think you conquered something, you had to learn something else.
Mm.
And that's why I said it has to be fun. I mean, my brothers used to make me get against the wall and throw the ball at me and told me to stand there. And then they told me when to swing because you have to first overcome the fear of an object coming at you.
Mm.
So with that, if you're afraid of being hit, you ain't gonna be able to even stand up there to even hit.
Right.
And then if they put like Sandlot, they put the guy out there in the outfield, he couldn't even catch.
Right.
he didn't even know how to hold the glove.
Right.
So, and then throwing, that's what I'm saying. There's steps. It's training wheels. And that's what makes baseball so fun because all this stuff, you can be real goofy, you can be real clumsy, and it's so innocent, but it can become so much fun.
And that's why I played. Even though I could never play it, I still have fun every day to this day trying to play it with my friends and everything. I just have fun with it, and that's what you gotta do. And I agree. But it was awesome. I had a blast. I hope you did as well. Sorry for the late start. I don't know what happened there. But
it happens.
You're more than welcome to come on as many times as you want. I have your contact info. Yeah, it was fun. And if you can, once this episode's posted, please share it.
Sure.
I'd love it.
I had a great time. Thanks for having me.
Perfect. Thank you. Let me know whenever you want on again.
All right, man. Just hook me up, bro.
Will do. All right, man. You have a good night. Take care, brother.
You too. I enjoyed myself, brother.
Right.
Thanks for having me.
No problem. Bye.
God bless you.
God bless you too.
Thank you, man.
You're welcome. This concludes the episode with Wes Chamberlain, episode 31. So you all have a good night. Take care. And